Hello, everyone. My name is Taimin Rosado. I have this huge family, all these hearing people, and I'm the only one who's deaf. Nobody in my family knows real American Sign Language. There's a lot of gesturing and home signs we made up. Like our sign for food is different. We have signs for bathroom and shower. We just made these things up as we went along. So we don't use anything that even looks like American Sign Language at home. We had our own signs for party or for going out to eat. We just had these different signs. It's almost like it was my second language. It was so different. We had our own way of communicating. And most of them didn't sign, they just talked. And I'd have to remind them over and over again that I'm deaf. They just didn't really remember it, I guess. I was like, hey, I'm deaf. Remember? Come on, sign. They're Puerto Rican, so obviously they spoke mostly Spanish. Well, I have a story for you. I think I was around 11 or 12 years old. I was at the Walden School in Framingham. Well, I don't really remember my age, but anyway, I was there at school. And my mom comes and she's talking to some guy. I don't know who he was, maybe an interpreter or something. And so my mom is trying to have this conversation with me. And she's like, I want you to get a cochlear implant. And my very first reaction was no. I don't even know why. I didn't have to think about it, just said no. And she was like, look, what we'll do is we'll get you a hearing aid. And if that works and you hear okay, then fine. But if that doesn't work, then we'll have to get you a cochlear implant. And I was like, absolutely not. I think my mom thought she could convince me, but I just resisted. I was like, oh no, I don't want it. And you know what? Because of that, my mom just left me alone to make my own decisions. I have hearing aids, but I don't wear them. And so that was a pretty great moment when she just left me alone from then on. I don't know if she accepted the fact that I was deaf or just didn't understand it, but she started learning a little bit of sign language. Not a lot, but it was better than before. I've been around deaf people and hearing people a lot. When I was in the hospital, it was mostly hearing people. That's tough because there's no real good way to communicate if they don't know sign. Sometimes there are no interpreters, so we have to just write back and forth on a notepad and gesture. I would try to teach staff and other patients ASL, but they just walk away and pay more attention to some other patient. But Worcester Recovery Center Hospital actually has a deaf unit and always has interpreters and deaf staff who can sign. Even the hearing staff sign. That was great because it's much easier to communicate. And I feel like I can interact directly with people. They have deaf social workers there, and that's really awesome. They have animal therapy, all kinds of therapists. They have interpreters and deaf staff. It's just that the deaf unit is really impressive. They spend a lot of time making it a deaf friendly environment. It's a beautiful brand new building. And while most of the hospital is for hearing people, there's an amazing deaf unit where people sign and respect deaf culture. They also provide ASL classes for people who don't sign. There's just a lot more access for language at Worcester Recovery Center Hospital. They actually know how to communicate with me. When it comes to my recovery, it's really hard to talk about. It's challenging because when I was growing up, I had no idea how to deal with my anger. I was so mad, and I would get into fights, and it was hard to take control. But it felt good when I beat people up. It was like I was really rough and physical, and in my head, I knew that's what I needed to do to release. That's how I managed my feelings. That's how I managed my anger by getting into these fights at school with my friends, my family. It's just what I did. I was depressed and I thought about hurting myself or killing myself. I was so angry, always in trouble at school. My family was a mess. So I ran away. There was just so much going on. I remember it was February 2013. I was transferred to Worcester Recovery Center. And as soon as I walked into that place, it was like something opened up inside me. I was so overwhelmed and I was crying, emotional. I was like, why do I keep doing this? Then all of a sudden, a light went on in my head. The staff woman came up to me with a service dog, and typically I would try to hide, but this woman said to me, "Tell me what's really going on. Tell me everything." And I was just so overwhelmed that I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. I had been through so much and it had just hit me when I got there. And I was trying to let out all these feelings and express everything, all the anger, all of my thoughts. Then I realized that what I really needed to do was do this on my own. So I started doing all this reading about mental health and was trying to figure out how to manage my anger. What ended up happening was that I was diagnosed with PTSD. So I looked that up. They also diagnosed me with a mood disorder. The doctor said I had bipolar disorder. I said, no, that doesn't seem right. So I read about it. And I don't have those type of mood swings. I'm pretty stable. I don't have these big drops in depression. I just don't. So I was doing all this research and I found out a lot more of information. I talked with some social workers there and I had these really heavy conversations. I wouldn't say that the recovery was fast because it wasn't. It took a lot of time, about 7 months or so. Then finally, after quite a while, I said, you know what? I got this. I just realized that I could make changes in my life. And just by doing that and by thinking about what I've been through, I was able to get by. A lot of people are surprised by this, but I did it on my own. It took a lot of energy. My personality changed. My attitude changed. The way I talk changed. I even changed my name sign. It was a complete change of character. I'm more mature now. I'm more respectful to others. And I'm happier. If somebody gets in my face or something, giving me a hard time, I'm like, man, peace out. And I walk away. I don't get into fights anymore. When I first got in there, the staff were pretty freaked out by me. They were scared of me. They knew I was a fighter and that I've beaten people up. But they started to trust me more and they felt pretty safe. It was awesome. I haven't gotten in a fight for, I don't know, like 2 years. My grades are really good now. It was tough, but my life has changed. It's been interesting being a part of two peer support groups. The one at Advocates is all deaf, and the other at UMass, it's all hearing except for me. And to be honest, it's kind of hard for me. At the UMass peer support group, I'm the only deaf member, and Rob, he's the hearing facilitator. It's really hard for the interpreters to keep up with all the conversations that are going on. And because it's a hearing environment, it's not totally accessible to me. But Rob, he really encourages me to participate as much as possible, to ask questions, and keeps me a part of the conversations. I have learned a lot about mental health diagnoses and terminology, and I have a better understanding of hearing culture. Being a part of these groups made me more self-aware. Now, the other peer support group that I attend is at Advocates. It's all deaf, and it's run by Marco, who's a deaf staff member. It's great. I feel comfortable, and I feel like I'm at home there, especially with communication. It's not like I'm a visitor in a foreign country where I have to put up with the interpreters and feel like an outsider. They both have pros and cons, and I can't say one is better than the other. They're both wonderful supportive groups. I've grown a lot because of them. How do I feel about my mental health diagnosis? Honestly, I don't care. I like to show the world who I am. I know that people have lots of negative thoughts and ideas about what it means to have a mental illness and to have a mental health diagnosis. And I know people tend to be afraid of me, but they have the wrong idea. I mean, come on, use your common sense. I'm a good person, I have a good heart, and I'd like to show that to the world. I've changed a lot, and I think that I've shown people what I'm capable of. I'm about to graduate high school, so I don't really care. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of where I'm from. So, this is who I am, world. That's my answer, I guess. You know, I always thought that I was a bad person, and people would tell me that I wasn't. But I was like, nah, I'm a bad person. And then I started really working on myself and realized that I have a good heart and I'm smart. I got great grades. Right now, I have all A's and B's. I think the message that I want to pass on is just to believe in yourself. There are all these labels. This person is deaf and bipolar, or has PTSD, or has experienced trauma. This person is dumb or low functioning and is stupid. We just throw out all these labels. That person is anxious. We do this, we do that. We even do it to ourselves. Or that person has no chance. They're not going to graduate high school, or they're an orphan and have no family. This is how we talk. But I just want to say, believe in yourself and get help. Get the help that you need. I think you need to have faith and reach out to people and be proud of who you are. I'm proud of who I am. And I think that's the biggest advice that I could possibly give to anyone. Just show people who you really are. We all have skills to create ideas that we can share, and we should. We should share it with everyone, regardless of whether or not you have a mental health diagnosis. Don't be afraid. You can recover. And I feel like people wait too long. And you don't have to. Start now. I think if you just embrace it and say, yes, I have a mental health diagnosis. I've had all these life experiences. That's okay. I feel good. And you can too.